So the topic we're going to be discussing today is one that I've seen making rounds everywhere, social media, just normal conversations. And I think that its usage has become a bit monotonous. So I want to give some perspective in this situation. First of all, I want you to understand the word destiny swapping. The definition is the act of exchanging luck, blessings, life breath, or even purpose with someone. And I think the part that's usually missed out or erased in that definition is the fact that it's consensual. Yeah. And consensuality just basically means mutual agreement. But in energy, consent isn't basically just like you saying, yes, it's okay, you can take my energy. It's just participation, okay? Energetic participation. And any energy can be alchemized, okay? And I'm going to be explaining this as we move forward, but that should be the basis of this conversation, yeah? I want to start with the energetic point in your body that is affected by destiny swapping, or the energetic point in your body that's targeted by intended destiny swappers. And this is your sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is our creative force. It is what we use when we're manifesting. It is what we use as women to create. And it is the point in our bodies that helps us access our feelings. For anyone who's going to be a creative, a successful creative at that, there is a need for them to actually be sensitive in a way. There's a need for them to be connected to their feelings. And so if you're listening to this, if you're interested in this topic and you feel like someone destiny swapped with you, then I want you to take whatever I'm going to tell you very seriously. Okay? Now, before I get into the things that you need to do when it comes to destiny swapping, I want to explain to you the process of destiny swapping, but through examples. The first example I want to use is the example of the creative. And like I said, you're a portal of ideas, okay? What usually happens with people who try to destiny swap is they probably have a blocked sacral chakra, because we all have these energetic points in our bodies, but they're not activated. So this person is not able to tap into their own creativity. And because of that, they become a dupe. But when someone gets access to you and they use you, let me not say they use you, but they invite you to participate in an energy exchange, they can turn you into the dupe. Yeah. Let's say you're a creative, okay? You make art, you post it. Maybe you're a writer. And then, someone gets close to you somehow, because destiny swappers are not usually very far away from your energy. They need to access your energy somehow. Yeah. Someone gets really close to you, or not even so close to you, but somehow close enough for you to notice them. And they start basically replicating your work. Now, what you do after you recognize this is what's going to be focal in whether or not they're going to be successful in their destiny swapping work or not. So you notice this person is copying you and basically just trying to be a mini you. And they're not doing it because they admire you. They're doing it because of envy. You can tell the difference. You use your discernment. You notice this and it starts to affect you mentally. All of a sudden you are now, checking their page constantly. Perhaps you're not even creating as much. If you were creating, now you're trying to rebuttal whatever it is that they're doing. For example, if they've copied a particular piece of yours, you probably want to show that you're the blueprint. So you're going to try and recreate that to show that you're better. or you're going to look at their page and see what else they're doing, and you try to prove to yourself and maybe your audience that, yes, I can also do what this person is doing. And so I don't know if you noticed what just happened there, but the swap has started, because you are now picking inspiration from this robot who is picking inspiration from you. So the swap has started, and I want you to understand this here. People normally will study you and know your weaknesses and your strengths. And because your strength is things that you're used to, like you're accustomed to just being someone who's outspoken, someone who knows how to articulate themselves, or perhaps there's a particular segment that you're working on that's really powerful. You might see it as something basic because, like I said, you're a portal of ideas. You're constantly creating. But someone else is viewing it as gold. And so what they're going to do is they're going to replicate all the good things about you and make those their personality. Now, if you get into that energy exchange of trying to prove yourself to them and trying to copy whatever it is that they're doing, you neglect yourself. You neglect your authentic self. And when you do that, you start identifying as the duplicate. Yeah? Because what you don't realize that their goal is to throw you off. You know? You also don't realize that you're supposed to use that as something to pivot, or to help you pivot into a different dimension or a different level, a higher level. Yeah. But instead you're using it as something to keep this person on the same frequency with you. You are subconsciously acknowledging them as your equal. Do you get? And like, why are you allowing someone who's literally learning from you to now identify as your intellectual equal? I need you guys to be so arrogant about who you are, about your self-image, about your accomplishments. I'm not saying go out there and be mean to people and say, look down on them and be condescending. No. Just be so arrogant about who you are. Like, there's no one like me, like he couldn't if he tried. You have to have that sort of grandiose view of yourself, especially if you're a creative, because so many people are going to try and downplay your work. They're going to downplay your art while simultaneously copying from you. Yeah. So I need you to know that you're the baddest wherever you go, and you can't be replicated. Now, this brings me to the sacral chakra conversation, because most times when people want to do any work on you that involves, destiny swapping, they look at your sacral chakra. Remember, the sacral chakra is what has the cords that connect to different people and different things. That's why when you end a relationship, it's very important for you to do some sacral chakra cleansing, with some, you can also do some sacral chakra meditations with some orange stones, sandstone, carnelian, because you need to cut the cords. You also do some yoni steaming. Just because you can't see the energy doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's the point that's targeted. Now, most people do not know this, and I normally do readings where people come and they're like, oh, my life has been feeling this way and that way and that way. And I will tell them, this is the chakra that you need to be working on, because that's where the blockage is. And sometimes when I say this, they're just flabbergasted, like, no, I'm not expecting to hear that. Like, they want me to tell them someone went to a witch and they messed up with your energy, and so now you're stunted. As much as that might be true, I want to focus on what energetic point was affected and how you can heal it, because that is the only way that you can work through witchcraft or energy that's been sent to you, whatever it is. You have to just understand what has been weakened within you. And in this instance, it's the sacral chakra. And the antidote for the sacral chakra is authentically being yourself, painfully being yourself, and also making sure that you don't self-neglect. When this work starts on you, what you call destiny swapping, and by the way, you don't really have to go to, someone doesn't really have to go to Ganga to do that to you. No, they don't really have to do that. They can literally just, they can just do it by being in your energy. And I'm going to be explaining why with the friendship example. I always tell people the first thing you need to do when you realize that someone is trying to copy your energy is block them. Block them, pay them dust. If it's someone who's a close friend, reduce your interactions with them. And I'm going to tell you why, because most times, destiny swappers, especially friends, they use a lot of psychological warfare. You know, they're going to manipulate you. They're going to gaslight you. Like, you might call out something and say like, oh, well, I saw you do this, whatever. And they're going to be like, girl, you're not the only one who does this. Like, did you think you're the one who invented this kind of thing? They're gaslighting you. Yeah. And they're downplaying your energy. And what they're doing is that they're also warping your view of reality. So you get to a point where you're questioning everything. Confusion is a spell. Okay? When you're in a space where you feel like people are just playing on your mind, then the next thing is you're going to start noticing a decline in the quality of your life. Maybe your money, maybe your relationships, your self-esteem, your self-worth in this particular instance, right? So, they're going to use psychological warfare, and I'm actually going to give you an example because I had this friend who would, this is the form of psychological warfare, yeah? And it's downplaying, but in a way that's so passive that you can't really call it out because it just feels so minute, right? So I remember there was this achievement that I posted, and she used to do this a lot. Like, again, I mean, I don't post my achievements as much anymore, but back then, you're still learning. So I would post an achievement and then probably like post something else, like you posted your achievement and then maybe like a meme or whatever. So this was a very close friend of mine, mind you, like so close that we would text every single day. And she would view my status that has the achievement and then ignore it. And then she would come and respond to this meme. You get? She would comment on the meme. So she would do that every single time there was an achievement in my life. Let's say I've not even told her about it, and because you're supposed to be private about some of your goals, and so you've been working in silence, and something shows up. Obviously, they've been seeing you in the creative process. So that was always so weird because it's actually a form of energy harvesting because they know that it's going to rattle you, like you're going to feel so off, but then you can't call it out. And someone might think, oh, that's not really energy harvesting, but I want you to look at it this way. When you have a partner who's used to nagging you all the time, like they will do things to intentionally trigger you. They do it because they're getting something out of it. That feeling they get when you react to their BS is basically something that ups their energy, their ego. And that's harvesting, whether you realize it or not, And so yeah, like she used to do things like that all the time. And then after that, she's like smiling in your face. She's being all kind and all that. I'm just like, you're so confused. Like you don't know what's happening, but that's actually envy. Yeah. Someone who intentionally withholds compliments. And obviously no one is out here trying to seek validation. But I mean, if you're a support system, aren't you supposed to be supporting, especially if you're receiving support from the person who you're withholding support from? Anyway, another thing about friends, especially someone who's very close to you, why it's very easy for them to destiny swap is because you sometimes tend to share so much information. That's why I said you have to stop sharing information. You might think it's the most basic information, but nothing's basic, because so much goes into the creative process, and what people see is a result. But now when you have someone who's close to you, who's in your circle, they have access to the creative process. And when I say the creative process, I don't necessarily mean the formula of creating whatever work that you're doing. No, it's the small things that make you you. Yeah, someone could approach you with an issue about their life, and then you, Madame Oversharer, you decide to give them all the tips that you use in your personal life. Personally, when this and this happens, I do this and that and that and that and that. And then weeks later, months later, when you guys are in you guys are in a friend group, well, I'm not big on like big friend groups. I'm hoping this year will lead me to very amazing women. But like, I'm giving an example because this is what normally happens. So you're in a friend group, and then you realize people are now attributing your traits to someone else. They're basically saying, oh my goodness, yeah, she's this kind of person. She does this and that. Of course she does this. And it's really your idea. You see, like I told you, this person has no personality. So their job is to just pick from what you're doing and make it their personality. So you have to make sure that you're not sharing the small things. Like I said, you do not notice your strength. You think they're just normal things. And so what you think is basic conversation is oversharing. Okay? Is giving away everything. And so it's very important that when you notice someone has started to do those things that I described, you start cutting them off and paying them dust. Because it's not healthy for them to be in your energetic field whilst doing things like that, you know, because you're constantly getting rattled, you're constantly getting angry. I actually want to do a podcast episode about distractions, because I realized that this is a very big theme. Yeah, that anger that you feel, and listen, anger is not a bad thing, but that anger that you feel when you should be creating, that anger that kind of stagnates you, the kind that numbs you from taking action, is a distraction. And not to mention, you're actually giving pieces of yourself away. That's why you have to make sure you call your energy back every single day. Yeah. Someone could ask, like, what can I do with the anger that I feel in that moment? Now, if you have not yet, if you've not cut the person off yet and you're still interacting with the energy, or you're still feeling some type of way, I want you to learn how to alchemize energy. And that's what I started this podcast with. I told you that anything can be alchemized. You know, you can give me an egg and I'm going to give you a chicken. You know, you can give me lemons and I'm going to make lemonade. Alchemizing, this is not the dictionary definition, but it's basically just changing the form of something, especially in terms of energy. You know, someone gives you bad energy, or you're feeling very angry because you feel like, oh my goodness, this person is really copying me. Oh my goodness, da, da, da. I want you to learn how to transmute it in healthy ways. And especially right now, we're going through the retrograde. And even if you listen to this at a time when you don't have the retrograde, it still applies. You are creative. I want you to use that anger to create. When I say create, let me give an example. If you're an artist, you can use that anger to maybe write a song. Maybe you're a rapper, you know, an angry song, but it doesn't necessarily have to be anger about this particular person. It can just be because that anger is raw. So what it's going to do is it's going to be the emotion will still be translated to whatever it is that you're going to create. You know, turn it away from whatever is the problem. And before you do that, actually missed out a very important point. Yeah. You have to feel your emotions. I want you to get in the habit of noticing when you've been triggered, and before you try to alchemize that energy, sit with it, feel it, Sometimes people ask, how do you sit with energy? For me, I normally ask questions. Yeah. Why am I feeling this way? What has triggered me the most about this revelation or this conversation? Is this because I feel like this person is better? Why do I feel that they're better? Which part of me feels like they are better? Because like I told you, you have to be arrogant about your self-image to the point you're like, nah, it's not the truth. Yeah, it's not the truth. I can feel that way without that actually being a fact. So why exactly do I feel like this person is better? Is it because of that? First of all, why am I even comparing myself with them? Since when are we on the same frequency? Like, I want you to sit with these questions, like ask yourself these questions until you get to a point where you're like, this doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So, what you will do eventually, you will realize that, yes, I'm validated in the way that I'm feeling. And when the emotion wears off eventually, I will see the truth for what it is. For now, I'm allowed to sit in this angry feeling, even whilst knowing that my feelings are not facts. You get? And so when you have this conversation, this inner conversation with yourself, you have to learn how to argue with your inner self, with your inner voice. Argue with it until you get to a point of resolution. And when you do that, the feelings are not going to go away immediately. Allow yourself to feel them. And then this is the point where now you can say, where can I pour this energy? Where can I pour it? If it's about feeling like, I feel like maybe you might not say they're better than you, but they've taken the skill a notch higher. I need to up my game. So the only inspiration that I want you to get from someone who's trying to destiny swap with you is inspiration to stand higher in your energy. But I don't want it to be constant inspiration, like you're constantly going to their page to check, because like I told you, you become the dupe. But when you block them and they're the ones who are using pseudo accounts to try and reach you, they continue to identify as the person who's trying to destiny swap. Pay them dust. Okay? Pay them dust. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling the moment you're encountered with it, but don't let that become your story. That's what I'm teaching you about destiny swapping. Because if you notice, most people who will say, I was destiny swapped, they remained in the energy of this person for a very long time. They're probably still within their energy. You're telling me your friend is trying to destiny swap with you and you guys are besties. The next time I'm seeing you guys posting photos together, you guys have gone where? Like, girl, be serious with your life. Be more protective of your energy. Yeah? Understand when you need to revoke access. You don't have to be enemies. Just treat people who are envious of you as very dangerous people. And I think I saw this particular quote on Twitter. And another thing that you should never do when it comes to a destiny swapper is try to confront them about what they're doing. Like I said, they're going to gaslight you. They're going to make you seem crazy. And one thing I will tell you is that most people do not notice this. It's only you who notices it. Most times, of course, you might have like your inner circle that's telling you, that person is really trying to copy you, all that stuff. And by the way, eventually tell them to stop giving you information about the other person as long as it's triggering you. Of course, it will be triggering you. They should also block that person. But usually, there's very few people who understand that. And so if you get into the habit of telling people, that person was trying to destiny swap with me, some people might not tell you, but they're going to be talking about you like, this chick, man, she's a jealous person. She's always thinking people are trying to copy her. She's always thinking this and that and that and that. So you have to make sure that you never get into a position where you're confronting these people or like constantly having conversations about them, telling people, oh, this person is trying to copy me. Look at these big brands. How often will you see them attacking scammers? You know, they'll only do that perhaps in protection of their brand. Like, this is the only maybe page we're using. This is the only number we're using. This is the only, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, literally. But you'll never see them coming out and telling the person, oh, you need to stop copying me and stuff like that, because that basically acknowledges the fact that this person is, it's pressure. It's pressure to you, you know? So yeah, learn the art of paying destiny swappers dust and just create. You know, it's actually not a very big concept. Just be unapologetically yourself and you will move past all those things. Now, if you're in a position where you feel like someone destiny swapped with you, like I said, you are the resource. You are a portal of ideas. Think about what you can create, you know, in your capacity. Don't think about them. And that's why I say, if you feel like someone destiny swapped with you, cut them off so that you can have a fresh mind. Because sometimes what happens is you have ideas and someone else also has the same idea, right? And you see them share it. And because you're creative, you're authentic, you don't want to seem like you're the kind of person who's copying someone else, you know? So what you end up doing is, well, I'm not going to use that idea anymore because I've seen this person doing it and stuff like that. No, my dear. You know, cut them off, block them so you don't see them. So that everything that you're doing is authentically you. And if you happen to land on content that looks similar, you're like, oh, well, coincidence. You know? So you're a portal. I don't like when people have so many excuses and they sit in that victim mentality of, oh my goodness, my life was taken away from me. Now I don't have anything. Like, girl, stop it. Stop it. Work on your sacral chakra. And honestly, the things that help the sacral chakra are things to do with pleasure. Yeah. So whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that it starts to give you pleasure slowly by slowly. That's how you're going to get back your sacral chakra. That's how you're going to reactivate it. You know, if it's a passion that you're getting into, don't say now, you know, this person stole my idea. Now I'm going to also get into jewelry business and start selling it. And you don't even have passion for jewelry. What are you doing? You're still going to feel like whatever you're doing is not fulfilling. And it probably won't even thrive. Because you're being performative and yet you're a creative. So I want you to take some time, do some sacral chakra meditation. You can get some on YouTube. You can just meditate if you know how to. Place a stone on your lower abdomen, your womb area, you know, and constantly meditate, you know. Envision your sacral chakra opening, that orange light. And as you do this, ask yourself, what is it that you want? You know, what does your body want to do? What does it feel comfortable doing? What things will make you feel safe? I want you to get into the habit of speaking to yourself. Honestly, the most powerful protection spell is being so in touch with your body, so in touch with yourself. Because you can always tell when there's a disturbance in the force. And in that moment, you call back your energy with expedition. You get. So get into the habit of speaking with your body. Stop neglecting yourself. If you feel like you've been destiny swapped with, you're trying to get back, or you feel like it's happening, start tending to yourself. You know, give yourself the best foods. Do not sit in a position where you're thinking, oh my goodness, someone is sending me energy. And then you're just ordering KFC and pizza in. My dear, that's not what your body wants. And this has nothing to do with weight or health. I'm talking about nourishing your body. When you are under attack, you need to take care of yourself the most. And trust me, it will be harder during that time. Get out of your bed, take a bath, clean your room. Make sure that your space is giving you pleasure. I'm going to say that word a lot because that is something that's really going to help you with your sacral chakra. So, stop being unapologetically yourself, you know? Be more gentle with yourself. Feel your feelings more. Stop trying to escape. Also, if you feel like you're under spiritual attack and you're drinking a lot, you're smoking a lot, those are things that you also have to reduce. You know? You have to get into intermittent fasting. Not forever, but especially when you feel like, let me say you've been on a spree, on a drinking spree and maybe a smoking spree and junk food spree, give yourself like 3 days. And during that time, you're basically calling back your energy. You're releasing that extra weight that's been taken on by your body, that's been stored inside your body. Yeah? Yeah. So, once you do all those things, I don't think you'll ever be worried about destiny swappers. And honestly, everyone has their own timing. If someone's copying you and, they're pivoting in their career, so what? That's why I said you have to pay people dust. Why are you following up on that? But I always find it very awkward when I see people who are obsessed with stalking people that they don't like. Like, what is going on? Where is the self-worth? Where is the dignity? I feel like I would be so embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed, just catching myself doing that. You have to have self-respect even when no one's watching. That's how you're really going to own your sacral chakra. And that's how you're going to curb destiny swapping. Thank you for trusting me with your energy. I hope this was a very fruitful conversation.